What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Sweat. It is Tuesday. I'm Jesse Cofield. I'm battling a cold right now, so I'm not saying I'm a hero.
Why are you here?
Why do
You're
you
sick.
talk off camera before I've introduced you? That is my lovely co-host, Emerson Latzia, who cannot keep his mouth shut. We got a good show for you today. We're talking MLB postseason, NHL opening night. We're talking Zozo Championship going down from Japan. But like I said, MLB postseason, talk of the day. We got two dudes here with Emerson Latzia. I'm going to toss it over to them. Emerson's here, as you heard.
Yep. We like your turtleneck. Very, very nice.
She
Keeps
does
you
look
nice
nice,
and
though.
warm.
She does look nice.
This is the takeoff with Jared Carrabis and Steve Buchanan. Just a couple Mariners stands hanging out. How are we feeling about America's team right now, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It was hot. It was really hot. But let's start at the bottom. Jared, the Mets. What's the biggest reason? What is the biggest reason for their season souring from a dream to a nightmare?
Ooh, other teams scored more runs than they did.
Oh, analysis!
That is good.
That is the biggest reason you could point to. I mean, like that Mets team, it's been festering for over a month now. They had a 10.5 game lead, then they had the 7-game lead. You end up playing a wild card series. I feel I picked the Mets like an idiot, even though like my gut said don't pick the Mets. Like this would be the perfect way for the Mets to end their season is to go out in the wild card series. Like I always try to look at it like this. You can look at the numbers, you can look at the analytics, and all the logic that you want to apply as far as baseball goes. But come October, you have to look at it like you're a movie writer, like a script writer.
Yeah.
And if you were to write the script for the Mets season, what is the perfect way for it to end? They would lose in the wild card series at home in front of their fans with Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom and everything, and that's exactly what happened. So it was almost like fate. They were doomed. For whatever reason, they were doomed.
And that division lead you mentioned was the third largest division lead that has been blown in baseball history, 10.5 games. Steve, we're talking the most expensive roster in Major League Baseball history that won 101 games. What's the biggest question facing them now in the offseason?
How much are they going to give Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Go right across town.
Here's the worst thing for the rest of Major League Baseball is now you got a Uncle Stevie. He's angry, right?
He is.
He's disappointed. For a man that throws the money around like he does, and the number of free agents that are available this upcoming season is dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? Because he already had this star-studded team, and now you have guys like Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, some of the guys that are out on the free agent market. He's going to just start throwing money around to try to make up for whatever this season was. But really, when it comes down to it, it feels like a lot of these guys were hurt. Like Scherzer definitely wasn't the same in that game. Like his fastball was off. DeGrom's had a really rough month of September, and like not just to good teams, to bad teams. That was the other thing too. He was getting beat up by bad teams. The Pirates, the Athletics, the Cubs. They were all hitting him hard. And then obviously he did fine enough in the playoffs, but it just felt like that team was completely deflated coming into the postseason, and then we saw what came out of it.
Jared, how do you think Cohen will react here? Like, do you think he's going to end up just pumping more money into this team, or do you think maybe he says, I'm going to cut payroll a little bit because it just wasn't the greatest return on investment?
No, he's going to pump more money into the
Okay.
team. But the one thing that has been brought to my attention probably in the last 3 months or so is top players' reluctance to play there. Like, I think that as much money as Steve Cohen is willing to and already has spent on that Mets roster, there are players who have told me, like, I wouldn't play there because I don't need the owner of my team, like, sending out tweets to criticize me directly. Like, I've been told that by players. Multiple players have told me that. One of them is not Aaron Judge. We have not had that discussion. But so I don't know if you're Aaron Judge, do you take $45 million a year to go there for 5 years? Or are you looking for more job security? Are you looking for a 9-10-year deal somewhere else? But the Mets do have that luxury where, using the word luxury, they don't care about the luxury tax there. So he can offer crazy number. You can say privately, hey, I don't want to play for the Mets. Like, I don't want to deal with that circus over there in Queens. But if Steve Cohen goes to Aaron Judge and says, hey, how about 5 years, $250 million? Are you going to say no to an average annual value of $50 million if you're Aaron Judge? I don't think you are.
Yeah.
You can say that you prefer the years, like, hey, I'm looking for a 10-year deal. But if they offer you $50 million a year over 5, how do you say no to that? You can't.
Yeah, now we'll just see if they end up keeping DeGrom, who's is
No, he's
expected
not.
to opt out of his
Gone.
contract.
Texas Rangers. Hey, write this down. Write this down. Jacob DeGrom, Texas Ranger.
All right. I mean, he wants
They
to match or
spent
exceed
so
that.
much money in the offseason, and they still couldn't even get above 500.
I know.
Over $500 million.
That's only two guys.
That was still they weren't expected to compete immediately.
No,
even with
no,
the
but they
ball.
will. But they will
Okay.
when they have Jacob DeGrom.
All right, we have other series to get to because the ALDS and LDS start tonight, guys. Does Philly stand a chance against Atlanta?
No.
Jared.
No,
Nothing at all.
And they just lost one of their best relievers, strained calf, celebrating a Bryce Harper home run.
That came out this morning, right?
Just came out
This is
less than
breaking
an hour
news,
ago. Yeah. I picked the Braves in 4 anyway. It might be a sweep now. If you don't have one of your best relievers, it's all about the bullpen. It's all about your pitching in the postseason. I don't see how the Phillies can get past them. I mean, obviously, I think one of the big things that you saw in the previous series against St. Louis, Kyle Schwarber didn't really go off yet. Bryce Harper had the one home run, but their big bats didn't make a ton of noise, and they were still able to get past a division winner in the Cardinals. But this is the Braves are just a different beast. I think
true.
a lot of people are on the Dodgers to get to the World Series. I think the Braves are going back.
And Steve, as great as Wheeler, Nola, and the revamped bullpen have been, those performances tend to break down a little bit over this long stretch of October. And this is an offense that got shut out for 15 of 18 innings in St. Louis. So
Right.
Sportsbook wise, what would be an approach to this series?
Yeah, so I think if kind of like what Jared said too, if the Braves are going to win this in 4, you can take the Braves to win this at 4. Win the series 3-1. That's a plus 330 for the Braves to win. The other thing is too, both of these teams are two very good scoring teams at home. Obviously, the Braves have the home field advantage in this one here. That's where the series is going to start. And the Braves have the luxury of kind of making the rotation what they wanted to, whereas the Phillies are coming in here. Obviously, they did get the 2 games, but the Braves can do whatever they want here. And obviously, getting someone like Max Fried, the lefty, against the Phillies, that's something that's going to be in their benefit too, because kind of eliminates 2 of their bigger threats, whether it's Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. So I like the Braves a lot here on this one. I don't think the Phillies stand much of a chance. And then that loss of Robertson is huge.
Yeah.
You need those guys in the bullpen, especially if some of your starters are not going to go deep, especially to begin the series, because you're not going to have your top guys going here in the series. You're going to need that bullpen. So that's a huge loss for them. I think we're not going to think about now, but as the series goes on, we'll think about it more.
And they dropped the roster today for the division series. Spencer Strider is on the Braves roster, which we didn't know going into it because, he had that injury. I think he last pitched on September 13th, somewhere around there. So it was whether or not he was going to be on the roster. And his numbers against Philly, I think he's got a 157 in 4 or 5 starts against the Phillies. He owns them, and he's just nasty.
I mean, you guys, this. Winning a World Series is all about who's playing well right now. So people best get to know these Mariners. What is your prediction here for this series against the Astros? Big, heavy underdogs, man. Biggest underdogs in this series.
What's the line there?
In this division. So right now, for the series, Mariners plus 185. Some biggest plus money you could get on any underdog in the ALDS or NLDS. So Houston minus 220 here. To win the
a
series.
lot of people said that the Blue Jays were going to handle the Mariners pretty easily. I picked the Mariners in 2. I had them in 2. They took it in 2. It was crazy.
That comeback in the second game in Toronto was unbelievable.
7-run comeback.
Yep.
I was at the last time that happened, by the way. That was Fenway Park. What was that, Game 5 of the ALCS in 08? Rays, Red Sox. They were down 7-0 in the 7th inning, came back and won that game. Seattle Mariners, America's team. I think if the Mariners are going to win this series, it's going to come down to their bullpen. We saw a little bit of a meltdown almost with the Seattle bullpen in the series against the Jays. This bullpen overall, very, very good. I mean, the Astros have no weaknesses. Their lineup is long. Yep. They have the starting pitching. They have the bullpen, and they have home field advantage. So on paper, there's no reason why the Astros shouldn't win the series. But all I'm saying is don't count out America's team.
I mean, I know you agree with that. That was 2-game toppling of Toronto. It really was the 1-2 punch. We know about the comeback in Game 2, but then there was also Castillo's near perfect outing in Game 1. So maybe there's a prop or something here that you could look for in this series.
Yeah, it's the Mariners winning the series. At
Okay,
plus
just
185. There's a nice
straight
prop
up.
that you can take there. But the one thing that I do like for Seattle too as well is that there's a very good chance you're going to see Luis Castillo twice in this series.
Yeah.
Right? Probably Game 2, most likely Game 5 if we get there. I do think this is going to go Game 5. Even though the Astros went 12-7 against the Mariners in the regular season, these two teams were pretty evenly matched. Like, neither team was averaging more than 4 runs per game against each other. Their bullpens, when you look at the overall numbers for the bullpens, they're both in the top 5 in the league in almost every metric that you'd want them to be in. So these teams are very evenly matched. Like, I know when you look at it on paper, the Astros obviously have the more loaded lineup.
Yes.
But both of these teams played each other extremely well. And I think we saw, too, aside from that bullpen meltdown, the Mariners' pitching is for real. It really is. Like, that rotation gets no love. When you got guys like George Kirby coming out of the bullpen who could easily be a starter on some of these other playoff teams, and you have someone like that in the bullpen, that's just how deep their team is. So pitching is always at a premium in the playoffs. Mariners going to come through.
I mean, and this is the round too, guys. The divisional round is where we're going to really hear that narrative hammered home, like rest versus rust.
Yeah.
Jared, what if the Yankees don't get by the Guardians?
What do you mean, what if they're not?
They're not. You're calling it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they could get swept.
I mean, no AL Central team has advanced past the division series since Cleveland in 2016.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the year that, the skid is snapped.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Garrett Cole is just not good. He's your game 1 starter, and his time as a Yankee, his FIP in the postseason is about 5. So that's a win. I think people are, you're going with who's their game 1 starter for Cleveland?
Quantrill?
Yes, Cal Quantrill in game 1. And then you're still, let's just say Garrett Cole blows up again, like he probably will. Then you still have Shane Bieber and then Tristan McKenzie. This thing might be over in 3, Emerson. I'm just saying. If you were to line it up that way, and Garrett Cole is supposed to be your ace, and he's just not that good, then I guess we'll see what happens. But I like the Guardians in the series. I picked the Guardians. I think I picked them in 4, but it's probably 3.
Okay.
I was just trying to give them a.
Are there odds here, Steve, for Guardians in 3?
So you can take under 3.5 at plus 250 if you're thinking that. So that's one way you could do it. I think this does go 5.
Okay.
I will give the Yankees some benefit of the doubt here. Obviously their offense is prolific and whatnot, but
no, they got one guy. And this isn't the end of the season anymore, Emerson, where people are just going to be throwing him meatballs so he can break a fake record. Like, they're just not going to pitch to Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge is removed from the equation, who's going to beat you? I mean, all right, Gleyber Torres is having a decent year. Like, Giancarlo Stanton's still a legitimate threat that I feel like does not get the respect that he deserves in New York from the New York fans. But that's fine. Like, I'm happy to pitch to those guys. There's a lot of swing and miss with those guys. So yeah,
the Guardians' eye-opening pitching against Tampa Bay, it merits attention. There's no doubt about it. But we also have to remember they were facing the lightest hitting playoff team that only managed 3 runs in 24 innings.
I mean, the Rays didn't even deserve to be there. Okay, we should have had the Orioles in there. You want a hot take? The Orioles should have been in the playoffs. They would have been way more competitive than the
people
Rays.
would have loved that. Baseball, America would have loved that.
Okay, you got the Rays coming in, limping in with their 6 fans, and they absolutely did nothing. So congratulations on clinching, showing up for 12 hours, and you're gone. I hope that was well worth it. That being said, the Guardians are just like the Mariners. People don't know these guys on this team. They don't realize how good their pitching staff is. When this season started, before the season started, don't forget, no one gave the Guardians a sniff, myself included. Did you like the Guardians before the season started?
You've
talked about the Guardians a lot in this segment every Tuesday.
But in the American League, the White Sox were the biggest favorites in the American League to win the division. They only trailed the Dodgers as the biggest favorites to win the division. Wasn't even close. But that being said, the Guardians came through. They have the hitting. They have some clutch hitting. And they have one of the strongest bullpens aside from Seattle and Houston.
And they have 2 nailers.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Not 1, 2.
I'm aware.
That's huge, too. You got to put that in your analysis.
Okay.
But I think no one's going to give the Guardians a chance in this one because, again, you put these 2 teams aside, who's the more recognizable team? It's obviously the Yankees.
Right.
Guardians are a feisty bunch.
I love feisty.
Yep.
Would you take them?
Would I take them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would take them. I would take them in 5.
Wow.
I think it goes 5.
Oh, so, hey, you say, wow, you're taking him in 3.
I'm going to
No,
take
that's what I'm saying. You don't believe in them that much if you got them at 5. I got them at 3.
All right, let's go quick on this last one. We got Padres and Dodgers. It's as daunting as it looks here for the Padres. You got to win 3 of 5 games against the game's greatest team right now. Yeah? You were giving the Padres a bunch of love on Twitter this weekend.
Yeah. So the thing is, the Padres, when you look at the season overall, the Dodgers have absolutely done. I think they're 14-5 against them this year against the Padres. It has been absolute utter dominance. The Padres should be a lot better than what they've been. That's the thing. So in a best of 5, I don't think that you can look at the season that the winningest season in Dodgers franchise history. The run differential's through the roof. Realistically, they should just mop the floor with everyone and win a World Series uncontested. Like, that's what the Dodgers should do. But is there value in picking the Padres? Yeah, I think if they're going to do it, it's going to have to be in 5. Yep. But you lay out that playoff rotation. I know Tony Gonsolin just came back. He had 1 start before he came back, but he's good to go. I don't know what the pitch count's going to be. I think that he threw a sim game on Sunday. They were trying to get 3-4 innings out of him so that hopefully he can pitch 5 in his start. But yeah, I think if you're going to pick the Padres, you have to really dig deep to pick the Padres. Yeah, and that's no disrespect to them. Like, they are more than capable of winning this series. It's just the Dodgers are that good. And if you are going the Padres route, it's because you find the Dodgers boring.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who want that NLCS rubber match, like against Atlanta. Can you find any value here with the Padres at all in the DK Sportsbook or anything DFS-wise?
I think it's interesting how big of an underdog the Padres are, because when you think about it too, this team is absolutely stacked as well. Coming into the last couple of weeks of the season, their rotation has an ERA just above 2. The hitting has really started to come through at the right time too. Like Josh Bell, big series against the Mets. He's done almost nothing since he's come over from the Nationals. I feel like the Padres are getting hot at the right time. Yeah. And when that happens, and you got the back of the bullpen going too, Josh Hader, 11 straight appearances now without giving up a run. Mm-hmm. That's not the Hader we saw from before. That's the Hader the Padres wanted when they traded for him. Did not get that at all, like an ERA of over 9.
This is what happened in 2019 with the Cardinals. Yep. It's like you ran into a hot team in a short series. Yep. Like, the fact that it's a short series matters, because if you're playing a hot team, it's like, boom, you don't even know what hits you and you're out.
Yep.
All right, boys, that's all the time we have.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. It was very simple today. I mean, we're 16 minutes into the show.
Are you really?
That's how good this conversation in this segment was. But we have price check to get to. NFL Week 6 will kick off on Thursday night. Josh Allen, the highest priced player, highest priced quarterback. Is he worth paying up for? We'll talk about that right after Chirag gives us the latest on in the Rainmakers world right now.
Oh,
yeah.
What's up, everyone? I'm Chirag here to bring you the latest news and notes on Rainmakers football. Starting off this week, we are going to have the first ever PFP drop coming on DraftKings Marketplace with Sly Crocs. Sly Crocs is in partnership with Subducks, and it'll be the first PFP on the DraftKings Marketplace. Mentioned here, it'll be preferred access on 10/10 at 6 p.m. Eastern and public drop on 10/11. And what's really important about this is you want to know on 10/13 there will be a snapshot, because there'll be a Week 6 contest with $2,000 up for grabs and 10 Subducks NFTs. But that's not all. Throughout the season, you're going to want to hold on to these Sly Crocs, because there will be exclusive rewards and prizes. Hold on to your Subducks. Moving on to Week 5 recap. So we had a bunch of winning lineups, but I wanted to touch the top lineup for the week. 100K to this winner: Josh Allen, Leonard Fournette, Gabe Davis, Taysom Hill, Tyler Lockett. Those were the 5 players that got him to first place. Insane for 100K top prize. But if you look at second place lineup, they also played Josh Allen and Leonard Fournette, but they went with the double stack, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, and then run it back with Nick Chubb. So as you can see here, there were really big scores here to score the top prize, but 100K to this winner, and the person made sure to run that, Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. Moving it on to Week 6, I'm taking a look at some of the cards that I will be considering for DraftKings Rainmakers football. Starting off with Terry McLaurin for the Thursday night football game. Scary Terry has been playing at an elite clip now. He's catching long bombs from Carson Wentz. I think this is a great option to consider for the Thursday night showdown for that. But then moving on to the Sunday slate, you have to look at Jalen Hurts. He is not a superstar. Potential rumor that he could be a superstar coming up into this, but there has been no official word. Still TBD on who will be the new updated superstars for Rainmakers football. But you also want to take a look at Patrick Mahomes. He is playing this week against the Bills. Biggest matchup of the week. Patrick Mahomes is a player that I would be looking at, but also Josh Allen. They're playing against each other. Bills, Chiefs. going up against each other this week. But also, let's move on to another showdown contest. Austin Eckler coming off an amazing performance 2 weeks in a row. You're going to want to consider this player card if you're playing in the showdown core contest. I really like Austin Eckler to continue doing his work this week. But let's not forget that we also have CeeDee Lamb, another player to consider. The reason why I brought up CeeDee Lamb, his player card is just $9.50 in the core tier for week 6. You want to consider him. It's Eagles. It is Cowboys going up in that Sunday Night Football showdown. If you don't have a superstar for that contest, you're going to want to consider CeeDee Lamb because he's a core player that's not at the superstar level. And that's all I got for this week.
Welcome back to the sweat. Jesse Cofield, Emerson Latzia here. You are looking at the top 10 fantasy scores from week 5. Now, 3 of the top 10 from last night's Chiefs-Raiders game, including 4 touchdown performance by the Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, and you know what? From Patrick Mahomes, too. He threw him those 4 touchdowns.
Josh Jacobs also making the list there.
Yeah, he had a career high in rushing yards last night. Man, that guy absolutely tore it up.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
On Monday Night Football, which here to react and for some price check, we have DK contributors Jeff Ulrich and Pierce Dietrich here. So before we get into salaries ahead of week 6, about last night, little frustration, like boiling over here.
Would hate to be the Raiders.
Yeah. So the Chiefs knocked them up by a point, but it was like Davante Adams over here shoving a guy on the field after the loss. He later apologized. He's pissed because, I mean, he's now on a 1-4 football team. Yeah,
but that was like a guy just doing his job.
Yeah. It's like, get out of my way, you son of a gun.
Like that guy
Are you saying that if we're on a 1-4 football team, we can go out and commit assault? Are you guys making apologies?
No, I'm not.
I'm literally just stating
Emerson
facts.
is.
I'm stating facts.
Okay, The guy. I know you wouldn't, Jesse.
No, I'm
Anyway.
saying he shoved it. That's like a photographer.
I know, poor dude. Again, just doing his job. Just get off me, man. Anyway, Jeff, Vegas plus 250 to make the playoffs now after last night. It really feels like their season is over.
You know, I don't think so.
Woo!
I don't think so. I think that there's a shot here. Vegas hasn't been terrible. I mean, this is a team, obviously, who could easily be 3-2. They're blowing leads left and right, but you look at their schedule, man, it is a softie. They got a lot of soft games coming up. They still got games in hand over the Chargers and the Chiefs. This isn't a bottom feeder team. I mean, it's a pretty solid football team. They just need to figure out how to close out games when they get their offense going. Derek Carr throwing dimes downfield to Davante Adams. I think that the Raiders are going to have a shot. I think that they're going to go on a little run here, get things together. And I think by the end of the year, that game, Week 18 against the Chiefs, may come down to the Raiders grabbing that last wildcard spot.
Pierce, any interest right now in betting the Raiders here to make the playoffs?
Well, my interest is in assault here. I think if Adams, maybe not attacking a camera guy, but I want to, blame people to Draymond Green on Hunter Renfrow. The guy needs to get out of Adams' way. If Renfrow doesn't run into Adams, they win that game. And if he also wants to get maybe like a misdemeanor assault, maybe look at the referee that calls a defensive holding on a field goal. When do we call defensive holdings on field goals, let alone in the fourth quarter of a close game? Oh, by the way, if you watch the replay, there is no defensive holding on that field goal. So I can understand Adams' frustration, maybe not the violence, but I'm with you. I think there's plenty of games left to play. The Raiders are going to be fine.
I mean, you're right. He and teammate Hunter Renfrow collided downfield on that 4th-and-1 pass that fell incomplete. And that camera guy did kind of look like Hunter Renfrow, so maybe he just thought it was Hunter Renfrow.
Okay.
Anywho, he's definitely going to regret taking his frustration out on that poor guy.
He already apologized. He did already.
That doesn't mean anything.
All right, let's move on to Week 6, and specifically,
price check.
We got a Week 6 Millie Maker though. Do not forget $1 million top prize. It's the NFL 3.75 million fantasy football millionaire. $20 entry, like
that's
I
enough.
said.
That's cheap. That's great.
Yeah. Gives you a shot at $1 million for that.
$20, that's nothing.
Yeah, just join. So go find that in the DraftKings lobby. But if you're wondering how to fill out your lineups, because obviously you are, we all are, these guys will help you out. So Jeff, let's start with quarterback. First, look at our Week 6 Sunday salaries. Who are you putting in that slot?
Yeah, look, a lot of people are going to be going to a couple different names here. Obviously, we have the Chiefs and the Bills on the main slate. You got the Tampa Bay Bucks taking on, the worst defense potentially in the league, and the Steelers. I'm going to go to Joe Burrow at 6,700. I think that this is a very, very good upside spot. We just saw the New Orleans Saints defense make Geno Smith look like Joe Montana. Geno Smith is playing great, by the way. So credit to Pierce for that call. But I like this spot for a breakout for Joe Burrow. I know the Bengals haven't been looking great, but again, it's in the dome against the Saints, weaker pass defense. Give me Joe Burrow here for a breakout game.
All right, Pierce, who do you like in your quarterback spot?
Did somebody say Geno Smith? Yeah, let's play Geno Smith this week.
Yeah.
Can't run the ball. Chris Carson retired. Travis Homer on the IR. Rashad Penny injured again. He's forced to pass. And Geno Smith is looking good passing. Arizona 27th in pass DVOA. They've allowed the 25th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Arizona blitzes all the time, but they're near the bottom of the league, second to last in sacks. They don't get to the quarterback. Very similar to Detroit. And if you look and see what did Geno Smith do against Detroit, over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns in the air, ran the ball 7 times for 49 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Go Seahawks.
Pierce, what do you want to do at running back? Is this a pay-up spot?
Nope. I'm going to stay with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And take the cheap Kenneth Walker, who now is the last man standing at the running back position. Second-round running back, 8 carries, 88 yards and touchdown last week. This is projected to be over 50 points in this game. So if we got high scoring, we've got red zone, we've got goal line opportunities, all of those are going to go to Walker. Now, 69 of his yards came on one play. You might say, well, that's not good. But, hey, now he's going to get a full game of action, more explosive plays. Kenneth Walker, cheap, works in the Seattle stack.
Jeff, who do you want there, running back?
I mean, I set Pierce up for that. I let him have all the Seattle guys. He deserves it. Good round. They're winning me over. And it's go Hawks, not go Seahawks. Come on, Pierce. Get it together. Raheem Mostert at 5,700. I also like in that price range. Miami taking on Minnesota. Minnesota is not anything great. They're average defense at best. Miami Dolphins with all the injury issues at quarterback. What did they do last week? Well, they gave the ball to Raheem Mostert because Chase Edmonds has forgotten how to play football. Mostert's going to get more carries here regardless of who's at quarterback. I like the spot quite a bit. Mostert still has a lot of juice left. 5,700. Too cheap for a guy who's basically turned into, their team's main carry back.
All right. Yeah?
No, I was just agreeing.
Okay. Let's go to wide receivers, Jeff. Who do you like?
The segment's supposed to be quick, fast, paced, according to the producer. You guys are just slacking.
We're terrible
I
today.
have a cold, Jeff.
Pick up the pace with Jamar Chase, Jesse. 7,700. We're going to go with the full Bengals stack here. Again, look at what the Seattle wide receivers did to this New Orleans Saints secondary. Downfield passes, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase is well overdue for a Jamar Chase game, and I think it's going to come this week in the Dome against the Saints secondary, who's just allowing big plays left and right. Give me Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow for a big stack this Sunday.
All right, Pierce, wide receiver, who do you like?
Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf has a better matchup against the 99th ranked quarterback, but Lockett is also in a really good spot as well. May surprise some people, but he's the number 9 wide receiver this year at PFF. 32 catches, over 400 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, 80% catch rate. That's the best in the NFL. Go Hawks.
All right, tight end, Pierce. Let's go. This has been a terrible position and honestly should be eliminated from fantasy football, but DraftKings is going to keep it around.
Well, we're going to stay with the theme. The Seahawks, the Cardinals have allowed the second most fantasy points to tight ends. Fant has a top-notch grade over the last 2 weeks. I like the way that they've been using him in the slot. They've been spreading him out. With the run game limited to just Kenneth Walker, we're probably going to see less of the traditional sets, although Disley will be fine at tight end. But I like Fant's upside in this explosive game against a weak Cardinals defense.
All right, Pierce rostering all Seahawks. Jeff, will you continue to roster all Bengals?
No, let's go to your boys. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Evan Ingram, who is finally coming on here. He had a good game against the Indianapolis Colts last time they faced. I think the Jacksonville is going to hand it to the Colts again here.
Thank you.
8 targets in that game, had 10 targets last week. I think Evan Ingram finds the end zone against the Colts defense that really has not been good defending the middle of the field, the slot, the tight end position. Evan Ingram at 3,500 has barely seen his salary move at all, even after that 10-target game. Let's take the cheap value and go with the Jags.
All right, our producers are going to build those exact teams that you guys just put together and keep track and see how
it all works out.
I'm very excited when the Seahawks win like 7-3 this week.
Okay, sure. All right, guys, guess what we're talking about next?
What are we talking about?
NHL.
Hockey. Yeah, that's right.
It's hockey time.
Opening night here in the States. That's right, because we did it in Prague last week.
All right, coming up next.
Okay.
Welcome back to The Sweat. It is hockey time, everybody. NHL 200K opening night puck drop special. It's going down tonight at 7:30 p.m. Now the prize pool, $200,000. Entry, just $15. First place, though, everybody, $50K.
50 grand.
That's just how we do it at DraftKings. So it's all good stuff. So now let's bring in our NHL panel. It has been a desolate summer without you guys. RotoWire's Paul Bruno and AJ Scholz, along with NHL.com's Anna Dua.
Yeah!
What a trio. You're back. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Emerson.
Let's preview the first night.
Yeah.
Preview the first night here in the States after, again, Preds and Sharks throwing down in Prague last week. So we have a showdown contest for each of these games tonight.
Okay.
So it's a 2-game opener. Let's start with the Lightning taking on the Rangers here. Who would you make your captain in this showdown, Anna?
I'm actually taking a look at New York for this matchup, and I'm going with Mika Zibanejad just based off of his performance last postseason. He was more than a point per game, 24 points in 20 games, and he did really well against the Tampa Bay Lightning. He had 3 goals, 2 assists in 6 games against the Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals. I know the Rangers are going to be looking for some revenge tonight, so I'm going with Zibanejad for my captain.
All right, Paul, who you want?
I'm going to take Vasilevsky, banking on the veteran backstop to be on his game for the Lightning, an early state in the game. Anna, I'm sorry, I'm seeing a lot of your tweets. We're going to disagree a lot more than we did last year, I think. Everybody's talking about the guy in the opposite net, including you. With a resume like Vasi, though, you have to know that he feels an extra bit of motivation for this clash. Getting the winning goal is vital in DFS play on a small slate. Shesterkin will be largely owned, I think, because of all the hype, but the visitors will spoil the party on Broadway. I've seen this before.
AJ.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rangers in this one, so I'm going to use them. My first thought was to grab Shesterkin as the captain here. I mean, you're talking $1,800 cheaper than Vasilevsky. That's a pretty good discount if you're going to captain a netminder here. But I'm a little worried either way that we're going to see, some first game performance out of the goaltenders here. So I'm going to fade both those guys in DFS tonight. Don't get me wrong, I expect them to both be in the battle for the Vezina at the end of the year, but it's game one, still some rust to shake off. So instead, I went with Adam Fox at 12.6, relatively cheap comparatively, gives you a lot of flexibility to build out your roster the rest of the way. And of course, Fox is going to be on that number 1 power play unit, should produce heavily if the Rangers do in fact win this one.
All right, let's move on to the late game between the Golden Knights and the Kings. So who are you going to make your captain in this spot, Paul?
In the late game, I think the Kings are bringing an underrated offense that'll be the decisive factor, and they'll be led by their shiny new toy, Kevin Fiala, who came over in free agency to line up on their top forward line. He's going to get number 1 power play minutes as well. I think they're clearly the better team in this matchup, too, with Vegas. And the big check marks are in the forward and defense and net column, all on the Kings side. I don't think this is going to be a close one, folks.
All right. Anna, what do you think?
I like Kevin Fiala. I'm expecting him to have a great year, but just to disagree with Paul a little bit more on this show, I'm taking a look at maybe Jack Eichel. So he did really well after coming to the Vegas Golden Knights, despite being riddled with injuries, recovering from the neck surgery. He played with a broken thumb down the stretch and still had 25 points in 34 games with Vegas towards the end of last year. He was a preseason standout for me, had 7 points, 4 goals, 3 assists, 12 shots in 4 preseason games that he played with Vegas. So he's going to be a big addition for them if he plays the full season, and I'm taking a look at him for my captain.
All right, AJ, we got someone from Vegas. We got someone from LA. Who are you going with?
Well, my preferred choice is unfortunately to agree with Paul here and go with Kevin Fiala at 13.5. But if you want another option, I actually would look to the other side of this, a little bit cheaper. Phil Kessel comes in at 9,600 for your captain. He's set to play on that top line with Eichel, and that's what Kessel needs. He needs somebody who can get the puck to him. It could be a nice debut for him. I'm not confident in either netminder in this matchup, much less the other one. So I really would stay away from those guys. So I do think Fiala's the choice here at captain, but if you want an alternative that'll save you, Phil Kessel's the way to go.
All right, AJ, let's look at both games now for our big opening night contest again. Where can DFS players find value for their lineups tonight?
Well, I think Quentin Byfield for the Kings is criminally underpriced here at 2,600. His production was admittedly somewhat limited last year with just 10 points in 40 games, but he's got plenty of scoring touch. He showed in the minors, 26 points in 43 games there. There's offensive upside in this game. I think he could see some minutes with power play number 2 here. So at 2,600, I think he's a steal.
All right, Anna, you got a steal for us?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm actually going with the Rangers again, just the way I started off this show. And I'm taking a look at Alexi Lafreniere, 2,800 tonight. It's his 21st birthday and
Hell
the season
yeah.
opener. So he's setting himself up for a great night. One of the only 2 multi-point games he had in the playoffs last year did come against the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 1. So maybe he's going to bring that to Game 1 of this season. So I'm looking at Laf.
And he'll be able to legally pop bottles after the game. Paul?
Value to me is a player under 4K, so that's where I was looking too. I think looking for a guy who will be a key factor in a big game. It's Alex Killorn. That's his DNA, folks. He's $3,900 is his price. He's a guy who plays top 6 minutes, and you don't think of him when you think about the top 10 Tampa guys, but top 6 guy, number 1 power play participant. He also has a penchant for being that big game player, so I really like him in that matchup. In the nightcap, I might take a little bit of a less likely swing with Mikey Anderson, first pair D for LA, partnering with Drew Doughty, who had a great year last year. This is an improved club, and I think Mikey Anderson's going to love playing against top 6 with his top 6 forwards tonight alongside Drew Doughty. This is a great spot for him, only $2,500.
All right, guys, before we let you go, we want to get a hot take before the season starts. So this could be fantasy related, betting related, or just something that you feel really strongly about. Get a little out there with it, Anna.
Oh.
I mean, I'm really happy there's a border between me and Paul right now before I say this. I've been getting slammed on Twitter, and rightfully so. I know Toronto's a passionate fan base, but my bold take of this season is I think there is a chance, I'm not saying it's going to happen, that the Toronto Maple Leafs could miss the playoffs. Just because, I know. Just when we take a look at last season, I mean, they finished second in the Atlantic, and they had 115 points. Washington got that second wild card spot in the East, had 100 points, and so that's like roughly 7 games up and down between those 2 positions. Then it really fell off after the Capitals. But this year, we have Johnny Gaudreau and the Columbus Blue Jackets in the mix. The Islanders were riddled with bad luck last year. They're going to be trying to bounce back. The Ottawa Senators, Detroit Red Wings, much improved team. So Toronto's going to struggle within their division more than they did last year. They're going to struggle within the conference more than they did last year. It's going to be very, very close, and they're going to be fighting to get in the playoffs, I think. And also their netminder duo is very concerning for me if I'm Toronto, just because both of them have always only succeeded or semi-succeeded when they had another goalie in the crease with them as a part of the tandem. Matt Murray with Marc-Andre Fleury in Pittsburgh, Ilya Samsonov playing with Vitek Vanacek in Washington, and now you're taking 2 goalies who have always been a secondary part of a tandem and trying to expect them to carry this Maple Leafs team into the playoffs. I think there's a reasonable chance that they could end up missing in the postseason.
Wow, Anna really starting us off with a hot
spicy.
take. It's hot.
Moving to the top of
All
our
right.
Nhl Analyst Rankings.
Yeah, Paul, we're going to let you go next, Paul.
Well, Anna's off my Christmas list, first of all. And second of all, I think we have to have a dollar bet on this. AJ and I have dollar bets on a lot of stuff every year. So, Anna, you're on the list. It's up to you to answer the bell now.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a quick reason why I think they're in good shape. They finished in the bottom third of the league in goals against last year with a 1 goalie who was NHL ready. This year, they got 2 guys who can do it, and I think they're going to be just fine. Their offense is going to be improved if that's possible. So is their defense. I see no issue there. They're going to be fighting for the top of the league rather than the bottom. But give you 2 other props to consider. Connor McDavid's on record saying he needs to shoot more. He never hit the 50-goal mark yet in his career. Top he ever scored was 44 last year. I think the prop is set at 46.5, and it's going to fall. He's also got a friendly competition with the Leafs' Austin Matthews, who beat him out for the Hart Trophy as league MVP last year. That's going to be further motivation. And I think he's going to go for the daily double, shooting for the Rocket Richard Trophy as well.
All right, AJ, it is your turn. Wrap us up with your hot take before the season starts.
Yeah, I'm going to slowly just back away from this Leafs conflict and just stay out of it here. But for my hot take here, I think Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey, is going to regret joining the Blue Jackets this season and will finish with the lowest point total of his career, which means fewer than the 49 he recorded in 2021. He's got way less talent around him. He'll have to seriously carry this team like he's never had to before. And I think because of their kind of suspect net minding, he could find himself chasing a lot of games when the other teams are just playing shutdown D to close it out. I think he's going to struggle to produce this year. and is going to seriously regret going to Columbus.
Okay. By the way, his Penguins, AJ's Penguins, longest active playoff streak. They haven't missed the postseason since the 2005-2006 season.
It's nice to be AJ.
It is nice to be AJ. Let's go. All right, good stuff, guys. Everyone enjoy the puck dropping here in the States later tonight. We'll talk to you maybe tomorrow, the rest of the week. I'm not quite sure. Anywho, coming up next, one more break to go. We're going to poke over to the PGA Tour. Hideki Matsuyama looking to defend his title at the Zozo Championship. Is he a good bet this week? Let's ask Jeff, and let's ask Jason next.
Welcome back to The Sweat, final block of the show. We're with DK contributor Jeff Ulrich and the Action Network's Jason Sobel to talk Zozo Championship, which is going down in Japan.
Yeah, it certainly is. So a little betting preview. Let's talk some best bets here. So we have Hideki Matsuyama looking to defend his title, plus 1,600 here. Third best odds on the board. Oh, I see also 14 plus 1,400.
Fourth best odds.
Tom Kim's number has also gotten shorter. Okay, so Hideki Matsuyama plus 1,400 here to repeat. You comfortable taking this bet, Jay, or is there another Matsuyama wager that you would rather place?
Okay with it. Look, good morning, guys. I guess the public likes Matsuyama right now if that number is getting a little bit shorter. He, for me, Hideki, has been the hardest player to figure out over the last 6 months. Listen to this. Here are his results since April. Withdraw, 14th. 3rd, pretty good. 60th, not so good. Withdraw, 4th. Missed cut. 68th. Withdraw. 35th, 9th, 25th. What does that mean? It means I have absolutely no idea what to expect from Hideki Matsuyama on a weekly basis. I know he loves this event. Second to Tiger Woods at Narashino in Japan, where he grew up. 3 years ago, he won this event last year, defending champion. It means a lot to him, but based on that recent history, no, I can't back him at 14-1.
All right, Jeff Ulrich. Sounds like if there was a way to bet him withdrawing, that may be the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, can we do that? No, look, he's not going to withdraw this week. No, okay, I say that.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
Obviously, Hideki at Narashino in Japan, I mean, he does like this course, and Hideki tends to be a guy, couple courses he just loves. He shows up every year in Phoenix, form or not, and ends up in the top 5 there. I think that betting Hideki top 5 at plus 350 is a better proposition. As Jason mentioned, like, we need some form. We need some form of consistency to be able to feel good here. I much prefer going down to Colin Morikawa, not even going down at the same price, plus 1,400. I think Morikawa, at the very least, it's just his putter that's been giving him issues. They went 2-1 at the President's Cup. I think Colin Morikawa just sets up so beautifully for a technical track like Narashino. Similar game to Matsuyama, really. I'd much rather bet on the American here than Hideki for an outright.
Go.
All right, so other players at the top of the board include Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, the favorite.
Yeah, Sungjae Im. We got last week's winner Tom Kim, Colin Morikawa. So, like, who are you most comfortable betting on in that top 5, Jeff?
Sounds like Colin.
Yeah.
And look, I mean,
Colin.
obviously I gave the lead away, which is, rookie move by me. But, like,
Damn it.
Colin Morikawa, to me, at plus 350, it's probably where I would go for a top 5. I think a lot of these players are good top 5 bets. But on Morikawa and Matsuyama, you've got the biggest odds. And Morikawa, to me, looks like the most depressed of the top 5. Again, I mean, this is a player who, he didn't win last year, but he's top 5 in a couple majors. The approach game is still great. He's 3rd in proximity overall. And you just come back to this setup. I mean, I don't know if you could really create a course that's a better setup for a player like Colin Morikawa. Where has he done well? You know, Memorial, Muirfield, Colonial. I mean, he's a high-end iron player. The past 2 winners here have been Hideki and Tiger Woods, 2 of the best iron players ever to play the game. Colin Morikawa certainly fits in that bill. There's nothing I don't like about backing Morikawa this week. And the plus 350 you're getting for a top 5, completely fine by me.
Jason, is Morikawa your pick in the top 5 too?
So, Jesse, first of all, I think there's a lot of value in hitting the top of the board. I don't often say that. I like looking for some bigger numbers in the outright marketplace on a regular basis. And yet this week, 78-man field. We've got some players from some other tours that shouldn't necessarily contend. It should come from the cream of the crop this week. Secondly, I will echo everything that Jeff Ulrich just said. It's a technical ball strikers course. It's a shorter course. You've got to hit your irons well. Everything he just said is completely correct, except I'm changing the name that he said it about. And instead of Colin Morikawa, I'm going with Sungjae Im. He's played such beautiful golf over the last couple of months. His last 6 starts, nothing outside the top 15. He's got 3 runner-up finishes during that time. I think he is playing some of the best golf of his career right now. At some point, that's going to turn into a victory. And maybe, just maybe, we saw him and Tom Kim palling around on the green at Narashino today, just having a good time out there. They're good friends. They've become a lot closer since the President's Cup. Tom Kim winning at the age of 20, becoming the next phenom of the PGA Tour, the next phenom from their country of Korea. I think that could have a little bit of an impact on Sungjae Im. Not that he needs to be motivated a little bit more, but maybe just light a little bit of a fire under him and move one of those second-place finishes to a win this week.
Yeah, and he showed up pretty well in Vegas, too, in his title of defense attempt. Let's go a little deeper down the board here, Jason. Which long shots do you have your eye on this week?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm targeting the top of the board, which, again, I don't usually do that. For those who watch this segment normally, read my stuff. I'm looking for some bigger numbers on a regular basis. I just don't really see it this week. A couple of names that I'll give you, and these are maybe more for top 5s, top 10s than outright plays. Keegan Bradley played well here last year. He's got a 63 and a 65 among his 8 rounds on this golf course. Scott Stallings playing the best golf of his career right now. At some point, I expect that to culminate in a victory as well. Joel Dahman has looked better lately. And I'll go back to Cam Davis, who was my outright play last week, got into the lead on Friday morning. I started virtually high-fiving everyone I could find, patting myself on the back. That didn't work out. He finished in 37th place, so that wasn't great. And I'll throw one more. You want a long shot? My play last year, I went back and read my preview from last year. I had CT Pan at 45-1. Granted, he was playing much better at that point. He's not playing great right now, but he's 200-1. This is a CT Pan kind of golf course. I'll take a shot at that number. Why not?
All right, Jeff, who are you going to take a shot at down the board?
Yeah, I mean, this is an event where, and again, I think we're on the same page. I'd rather pepper the sort of top half of the board at the very least. You know, Tiger, when he won here, was 33-1. Even when Cantlay in 2020, I know it was a different course, but it's very similar field. When he won, he was around 35-30-1. Mito Pereira is plus 3,500 on the DraftKings Sportsbook, was first in strokes gained approach last week. This is a very reasonable number, you know, for a player who just about won a major last season, is really starting to dial up those approaches again. And just like Morikawa, this is a very good track for a player who leans on his irons, probably won't have to do a ton around the greens, assuming like the weather doesn't get too bad. I think Mito Pereira is a future winner on the PGA Tour as long as he stays here and doesn't go to the Live with his buddy Joaquin Niemann. So Pereira at plus 3,500. Down the board, you know, Russell Knox is interesting as well. I think he sets up very well. He's won in Asia before, plus 13,000. So his odds have really obviously skyrocketed after one miscut. And then Joel Dahman is a player I had my eye on last week too. His approaches, I mean, over 4 strokes gained on approach in each of his last 2 starts. It's a pretty reasonable number for Dahman as well.
All right, let's wrap it up. Who's your pick to win the Zozo Championship, Jeff?
I'm going to go with Mito Pereira. I mean, I really just feel strongly that this player is on the verge of grabbing a win. He's grabbed 3 wins on the Korn Ferry Tour. It's just a matter of time. I think that this course sets up very nicely for Mito. And coming off a good week, he's just going to take that one step forward and grab the trophy this week.
All right, Jason, your pick to win.
Very interested to see what the jet lag is like for a lot of these guys going from Vegas. Look, we all know coming home from Vegas is a tough task when you're just traveling
the
stateside.
worst.
You're going Vegas to Tokyo. Oh my God! Talk about a hangover. It's a week-long hangover. That said, I'm still picking a guy who was in Vegas last week, Sun J.M. I think he's ready to go, ready to win at some point very soon, hopefully this week.
Yeah. It's the worst flight I've ever taken is coming back from Vegas.
Oh, yeah. It's the worst.
All right. Well, that's a show.
Imagine that, Vegas to Tokyo.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's even worse. Like you said, a week-long
He's
hangover.
probably not flying economy, though. So, for the record.
You know.
All right. That is a show.
That is a show.
That was good stuff.
Thank you.
We will talk to you guys as the week goes on about the Zozo Championship and much more to come.
Tees off like tomorrow Eastern time, like 5 o'clock here or something.
Exactly.
So you got to get those lineups in now and bets in now.
Yes, definitely. Madden starts at noon.
Yep.
We have the slate today after the last Madden game, and we are back tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Yep, we are.
So we'll see you then.
Okay.